and welcome to Posse Presents. We've been away for a couple of weeks. Started out because our Zach had plans one night, and it was really a blessing in disguise for me because unfortunately I was really sick. And last week I was still sick, and so here we are now. And one of the things that I don't really harp on is how bad my asthma really is. I was born with it. I've had it all my life. Allergies off the charts. And one of the things that I'm very allergic to are animals. And that prevented me from having animals for a good portion of my childhood, throughout which I did nothing but beg for something with 4 legs and fur. And it just wasn't an option. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm still allergic, and I have learned to manage my allergies. And I've learned to manage my asthma. It's just something that I do because having my animals and being around animals, it's all far more important to me than having to pop some pills and take some inhalers and do a little preventive measure here and there. However, in the last couple of weeks, all of the tools that I have with which to manage my situation failed me. And unfortunately, last Saturday, for the first time in over 25 years, I found myself in the emergency room being treated for my asthma. Not 100% yet. I will get there, hopefully. And, it's just something, I guess, that happens every now and then. But I'm actually going to get on my little soapbox, because it's what I do, and talk a little bit about allergies and animals. When I was a child, like I said, all I had to do was look at an animal and I'd break out into hives and sniffles, and it was, antihistamines and all kinds of things like that. So I can understand, 100%, my mother's iron fist, and, I had fish and turtles and, anything but what I really wanted. I was 10 years old before I ever brought home anything with fur that stuck. Spent over an hour talking to a neighborhood cat outside. And after that hour, he came to me and let me pet him, and he became my best friend. We had just finished reading Jungle Book in school, and so I named him Bagheera, even though he was an orange and white cat. Didn't matter. I liked the name, and I was using it. Fortunately, I was able to hide the hived mess that I became for my time with him before I went in the house. It was ugly. I seriously went in to get him like a little bit of cold cuts or something. My mother's like, "Oh, it's almost dinner time." I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, it's okay." Seriously had to pop something to take because my face was just one big dripping, oozing, snotting hive. And, fortunately, by running back outside and taking the meds, I was good for a little while. But by the same token, begged my mother at 8 years old to take horseback riding lessons and had to do the same thing. She realized that I was going to be more upset if I didn't take the lessons than if I had to come home, peel off clothes, medicate, shower, try not to scratch all the hives that I'd become. So, when I hear people talk about allergies and, Kitty has to go because, hubby has allergies, or, we're allergic to the dog. Yeah, after 7 years, you're allergic to your dog, and now you're kicking it out to the curb. It infuriates me because I manage. I understand if it's a child involved, it's not the child's choice to suffer. But, as an adult, you can do a whole lot more than at the first sniffle decide that, you want to bail. It boggles my mind because, like I said, I manage. My animals are far more important to me. The very first dog I ever got was when I was 14, and I was going to school, sneezing, wheezing, running, dripping, snotting, you name it. And I remember the teacher saying, like, what's up? And I was like, oh, I just got a dog. And they're like, yeah, and that's a good idea. Why? I'm like, no, it'll be fine. You know, for anybody who doesn't realize what happens when you go for allergy treatments, they test you to see what you're allergic to. And then they give you shots. So the shots are basically the very stuff that you are allergic to, that they are pumping you up with to try to boost your immunity to those things that you are allergic to. So by the same token, extended exposure to a new animal will do the same thing. You have to give it time. You can't run at the first sniffle, you can't run at the first hive, and you can't run at the first sneeze. For me, it's usually about 2 weeks when it happens. I'm proud to say that I don't react quite the way I used to a new animal. You know, your body changes. And fortunately, it's not as severe for me, a reaction when there's a new animal introduced into the household. Although, you know, I can tell you for sure that that first dog, it was very difficult. The next dog was maybe not as bad, but I've had reactions. You know, the cat story, that was a nightmare for a little bit, but I got over it. Extended exposure will make a difference. Now, I'm not going to say that, you know, I haven't had a room full of foster cats and kittens and once a rabbit, and going in that room pretty near killed me. But again, it's about management, and you know, fostering is a temporary thing, and that was as temporary as I could make it be. But I was also doing my part and following my heart, and you know, if I have to take a little hit here and there, so be it. But yeah, to hear these people who want to bail at the first sniffle, I just don't buy it. You know, there are so many other options. The problem is that people don't want to be inconvenienced for the sake of another life, and that's to me, it's mind-boggling. I mean, I know that I'm probably an exception to the rule, and I'm not trying to be, you know, a hero or a saint or anything like that. That's just how I roll. I'd rather have my animals, and you know, the occasional foster that maybe sets things off a little bit, than to be without and not do my share and not help however I can. I mean, you know, when I was at the shelter that I volunteered with, there were plenty of times where if my breathing wasn't right, I couldn't necessarily pick up the newspapers on the bottom of the crates because the dander would set me off because I was already compromised. You know, the position that I'm in, I can't work with animals hands-on as a career the way I would like to, you know. I could never be a groomer. I could never work in a vet's office because that would just be too much stimulation. But, you know, I'm smart about it. Clearly, I'm not pursuing those avenues because I know it would probably kill me as much as I'd be following my heart. However, it doesn't stop me from having animals. And, you know, again, I don't understand how people can be so selfish as, you know, the first sniffle, the first discomfort. And everybody's different. I get that. Everybody's tolerance is different. Everybody's, you know, exposure is not the same to animals, so that they don't have the immunity built up. But really, you know, let's look at the big picture. There are more people like me, I think, than most people would know, and we just manage for the love of our animals. I mean, it doesn't mean that there aren't times my own don't bother me, because they do, and I'm compromised. You know, it's dust and dander and pollen and mold. I mean, I have it all. And, you know, you just kind of have to do what you have to do for yourself. Sometimes I have to distance myself from them a little bit, you know. One of the things that, you know, the first thing a dog wants to do, a lot of the guests that come here, a lot of the dogs I meet in different places, they want to, you know, jump up on you and lick your face. My face is like a no-lick zone, because that still can be hives. You know, I mean, if I'm really bad, my own dogs can do it to me, but it's rare. It's absolutely rare. But yeah, I've made my life the way I've wanted it to be, with the animals and doing what I can. And, So all of you who want to kick an animal to the curb because someone in the house has allergies, yeah, everybody is different and every situation has its own little curve, but, it's one of those things, like, it's one of the biggest excuses why people will want to get rid of, and I hate that term, an animal. And to me, it's like, really, after everything I've gone through in my life to keep mine and be with mine and deal with mine, yeah, an allergy, unless it's an extreme circumstance, and like I said, if it's a child involved, and I can think of a woman who had brought a pet into the home and like one of her kids like seriously suffered. It wasn't that child's choice. So she tried everything and anything that anybody suggested to her, and finally she did have to put her child first. There are certain circumstances where, yeah, you kind of like have to make the choice, but on the average, this whole, oh, Fluffy's got to go. Yeah, no, I don't buy it. Anyway, so I'm kind of off my soapbox with that right now, but yeah, I'm here, I'm back, I'm feeling better, and you can tell I'm just as cantankerous as ever. Anyway, today is the end of November, and it is the end of Adopt a Senior Month. And I just want to say that the senior animals in the shelters, they need you 365 days a year. It's not just about a month of compassion and mercy for the senior animals in our shelters. I don't understand how you can bail on a life at the end of a life, whether these dogs or cats have days or months or years, they deserve a better end of life. They deserve a dignified goodbye. And, you really need to do more to make that happen. Whatever your circumstance, to bail on a senior animal. They don't deserve a cold cement floor and strangers, for their last moments in life. It's just not right. There's plenty of life left in a lot of them. There's plenty of love. I can't imagine how confused these poor animals are to have spent the majority of their lives in a family situation, no matter how good or bad it was, and to suddenly just to be bailed on and not know where they are or what they did wrong, or why they don't have their bed and why they're on a cold floor, and in their final moments, because unfortunately the seniors are almost always the last ones to be adopted, if they get adopted. To have their final moments be, confusion and at the hands of strangers in a cold environment where they just, don't know what happened to them. So keep your eyes peeled for seniors and try to do your best to help them get adopted, and, not to let them go out that way, because it's not fair. And if you have a senior and you can't manage its end of life, then, you really need to reach out for some help. Because you're really, really a poor excuse for a human to, bail on an animal at a time when it needs you the most. Okay, Zach, let's have Ziggy up on the screen, if you please. Old Lyme Animal Control has one dog, and that dog is Ziggy. And Ziggy is adorable. He needs a home or a foster. I guess from what I've read, he's not had a life of kindness. There is training included in his adoption. And, it's really sad. I mean, it's a beautiful thing that there's a pound in the state with one dog in it. But this poor little guy has got to be really, really confused and really lonely. It's no life for any animal to be in a pound or a shelter like that. So if you can reach out to a rescue who might pull him and you are willing to foster, he's just a little guy, like I always say, what's one more mouth to feed? If you can do anything at all, if you can adopt him, apparently he does need a little TLC. Like I said, from what I've read, he's not been privy to a life of kindness, so he needs probably to be worked with a little bit, and a little bit of time and effort and patience. You can contact the Old Lyme Animal Control at 860-434-3047. That's 860-434-3047. And we are going to bring up Billy, who is a dog lost in Sandy Hook. Billy is a female Westie who weighs about 18 pounds. She ran from the boarding facility she was in, as I said, in Sandy Hook. She was last seen in the Quail Hollow Lane Bishop Circle area. Apparently she's very shy, and they encourage you not to chase her. But if you do see her, please call 203-304-1131. That's 203-304-1131. Now, hopefully they'll get her soon because she's just a little one. And, you know, no dog should be, unfortunately, out and about in this cold weather. But she's definitely more prone to predators, etc., being her size. And Sandy Hook is, you know, kind of, I hate, not like a wilderness, but, you know, it's like any other place in Connecticut. There are predators out there. So hopefully she will be found, and she will be found soon. I'm sure her family is quite upset. One more time, 203-304-1131. And I will take the camera back. And I just want to touch a little bit on posts that people put out on Facebook. You know, I see a lot of stuff. People share stuff, you know, like second nature. And, you know, it's second nature for a lot of us. You see like a lost dog, you see a dog that needs to be adopted. You know, next thing you know, you're hitting the share button, you're trying to help spread the word, save a life, find an animal. You know, too many of these posts out there lack adequate information. And all the shares in the world aren't going to produce the desired results if it becomes a dead end. You know, what I mean is, if you don't have contact information, if you don't have location, if you don't have specifics, you know, sharing it really does no good because you spend more time backtracking. You know, people share their lost pets, animals in distress, animals that are considered urgent. You know, if you think that, you know, you're sharing your best friend lost her dog, so you share it on your wall, you know, unfortunately, fortunately, that's not probably where it's going to end, because somebody that you know is going to share it, and then someone else is going to want to share it, and, you know, so on and so on and so on. If 10 people see it and 5 people share it and more and more and more, well, you know it's your best friend's dog. But that 70th person down the line who shared it and might have some information on your lost dog, or might be able to take in an animal who's in distress, doesn't know your best friend, and the trail is dead because they don't know who to go back to try to contact to help. You know, like I said, first and foremost, excuse me, here I go. I wasn't sure how I was going to do on this one. Trying to make it through talking for half an hour for the first time in 2 weeks. Contact information is critical, whether it's a phone number, an email address directly for the person who is responsible for being the contact person, you know, the person in the know, the person whose animal it is, the person who can respond with the information. You know, to say message me on Facebook is lame, and that's for a lot of reasons. Privacy settings prohibit sometimes persons who aren't your friends from messaging you. You know, for those of you who don't understand the full way Facebook works, there's an other mailbox. So if I'm gonna message you and we're not friends, well, it could go into your other mailbox, and if you don't check it, I could have your dog in my hot little hands and you're not checking that other box. And how do you know I have your dog? You know, that's just one example. You know, location can make all the difference in the world. That lost dog post that I shared with you, there was actually a post with the streets that the dog was seen near, the area that the dog was seen near. Stuff like that is important, you know. You know, I live here, you live there. You know, if I want to share your post, do I share it on my wall, or maybe I know somebody who lives in your area that can help you? You know, people are like, well, where is this dog and who do I contact? You know, you follow these threads on these posts that don't have all the information, and more time is wasted backtracking and trying to get information than having the information go where it can be most helpful, and have people be able to like jump in and actually share it efficiently and say, oh yeah, I can help. You know, if you've got like a lost animal, a lot of people would love to come out and help put posters and be a search party and all that, but it's all about, oh, where is this? And, you know, oh, I don't know. You know, put the information together with the picture that you share, and it follows every share. It follows that picture everywhere. If there's updates, if you go back in and edit it and put updated information, oh, the dog was seen here on such and such a date. And that's another thing. If you've got a lost animal, you know, put what date it went missing. You know, the more time that's wasted putting effort into trying to figure out what the situation is, the less time that can actually be spent helping that dog that's living in a basement, or that dog that's tied outside, or, you know, the dog that's with someone who's threatening to send it to a pound. I think most of you kind of get the idea of where I'm trying to go with this. You know, if you know a person who's put a post out there and it doesn't have all the information, you know, grab them, step up and tell them, hey, look, you know, this is how you do it if you know how. If not, reach out to someone who's got a little bit more savvy on the internet or with Facebook, and tune that up so that when people share it, it is effective. Like I said, if you put a picture out there and you put the information, you can always edit it to update, but then every share of that post is going to have the pertinent information, and every pair of eyes that looks at it has the potential to help and not have to waste time going back to try to figure out, well, you know, what's really the situation. And then by the same token, if there's resolve to it, the dog is adopted, the dog is found, the dog is safe, you can put that right in that post and then stop the cycle of people sharing when it's like old news. I mean, it just, to me, it makes sense, and that's one of my pet peeves. You know, remember, when you share something on Facebook, it's really not going just to your immediate circle. You need to be effective. You need to really, really help an animal and kind of do the right thing. We all get caught up in it, and I've done it too. You know, I've thrown some stuff up in haste and forgotten to put all the right information and been called out on it, and it's all good. But, you know, the idea of sharing is to be effective. And like I said, it's one of my pet peeves, because there's so many times I'm like reading something, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta share this. And then I realize, why am I sharing it? I don't even know how to contact these people. I don't know who these people are. I don't know how to contact them. If I share it, what good is it really doing the whole situation? Because if somebody wants to help, they can't, because how in God's name do you get in touch with the person who is ultimately 70 people ago, the person who has the power to put you in touch with the situation? I don't know. I'm kind of like ranting and raving, but it's all good because I can. Something I like to throw out there for you, I did an article a couple of weeks ago. There's a woman who's looking for positive pit bull stories. She's collected over 100 already, but if you have a rescue pit bull and you've got a positive story that you would like to share for a potential book, you can email storr61@gmail.com. That's storr61 @gmail.com. Next weekend, there's a couple of events that you might want to take part in that are taking place. One is on Sunday the 8th at Pet Playhouse, Pictures with Santa, start at noon. And Thomaston Feed's big shindig for their new Cheshire location is Saturday, December 7th from 10 to 3, which will include Pictures with Santa and so much more. So if you're out and about next weekend, those are two events that you might want to check out. And remember, yes, this is about to be December 1st, and it is cold out. It's like I saw, it's going to be like 17 degrees. It's cold out. If it's too cold for you, it's too cold for your pets. Be sure that you bring them inside. If you know anybody who is tying their dogs outside or leaving their dogs outside, there are laws now, and there are tethering laws. There are laws as to how long they can be left outside without being brought in. So by all means, make that call. It's not fair, it's not right, it's downright cruel, and it is considered abuse. So, be vigilant and watch out for the neighbors' pets too, because, if you're not somebody who's going to leave your pets out there, you sure don't want to know that somebody else is leaving theirs out there. It's just, it's not right. I don't understand that either. Pets are family and they should be inside, and the backyard isn't just a place to throw your animal just because you don't want to deal with them in the house, or whatever your excuse is for not letting an animal in. Keep your cats inside. Like I said, it's cold. It doesn't matter, dog or cat, they shouldn't be outside, and cats should be indoor animals anyway. And that's pretty much the end of my rant, because I will rant I will rant and rave about that one forever and ever. There's no cat in the world that can't be kept inside. You can't convince me of otherwise. Anyway, I think we're sort of just about ready to wrap it up. So I'm going to say peace, love, and dogs. Until next time, have a good one. Stay warm. Keep those animals inside. Good night.